Welcome to Geek Zone Wrestling, a podcast by wrestling fans for life who just want to talk about wrestling.
Yes, we just want to talk about wrestling.
And
So, WrestleMania happened. We did a podcast for each night, and it was fantastic. The ending was less than exciting.
well, for night two, night one
Yeah,
was
night two, night
epic.
night one was, oh my god,
That's what I meant.
was insane. So since then, there's been I don't want to say fallout because
There's been a lot of
there's been a lot of randomization. I mean,
a lot of stuff has happened, but it's not exactly like it's almost like it's just like new chapter, new shit.
yeah, kind of. I mean, for instance, typically when the title is lost at Mania, there is a rematch thereafter at some point. That appears to not be happening with either world title. As of right now, as it stands, Jey Uso looks to be going up against Logan Paul for the world title, and John Cena having defeated Cody Rhodes. You would think that the rematch would be shortly thereafter. Well, no. It now appears that Randy Orton is going to be going after his title.
And the two of them will be clashing at Backlash.
Yes, that
Um,
is official.
and I mean, to be fair, Randy said to Cody, like, hey, after Mania, I'm coming after that title. He kept his word.
Yeah,
It just, wasn't with Cody. Cody hasn't been seen since.
right.
Um, and the whole thing with Jay Gunther is facing Pat McAfee.
Yeah, Gunther is facing Pat McAfee at Backlash. He came out and decided he was going to choke out Michael Cole, and instead Pat McAfee jumped in and ended up getting choked out. And that was a huge segment. It was elongated. They showed everything of trying to get McAfee back to the back area, and it looked like he kept looking like he was gonna puke, saying he couldn't breathe and this, that, and the other. It was a long segment, but I mean, it comes down to Gunther versus Pat McAfee at Backlash instead of a rematch for the World Championship, which is interesting to me because, like I said, most times the champion wants the rematch.
Or at the very least, goes out and, claims, hey, I'm coming for that title.
Yes,
They
something.
at least stake a claim to it, and then like the general manager or whatever will come out and be like, "Yeah, no, you blew your chance."
Yes, something to segue to it. It just seemed really choppy how it all came about.
Yeah.
And AJ Styles, after losing to Logan Paul, appears to be going for Dominic Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship. There was a segment this week with the two of them, and Liv was asking for time off to do her movie. Dom asked for time off just to have time off, and Aldis said no, denied. And they made some remarks, between AJ and Dominic, and then Aldis said to AJ, "I think I know what you're looking for," and AJ agreed. So it looks like AJ versus Dominic for the Intercontinental title will be happening. The United States Championship is going to be a fatal four way. Originally, it was going to be a triple threat. It was going to be Priest and Jacob and LA Knight. And Solo was there with Jacob and Aldis, and Solo was, running his mouth basically, and saying neither of these guys deserve a title shot. If anybody does, Drew McIntyre does because he's the one that won the match last week. And Aldis said, "You know what? You're right. Instead of a triple threat match, it's going to be a fatal four way." and we're going to include McIntyre.
So instead of him getting a one-on-one match for Jacob, he ended up with a 4-on-4, which I'm hoping leads to.
Well, see, there was a caveat at the end. There was a little twist. Solo said to Aldous, I can't believe you're trying to screw Jacob Fatu. And Aldous cut him off. He says, "No, I'm not. You are," and walked away. So this is stirring more tension between Solo and Jacob, which I am loving. I think this is a great story, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I hope it goes the direction I think it's going to, but I think what's probably going to happen is they're going to drag it out for longer than I would like.
Like this Judgment Day thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how Finn and Dom are still on good terms for some stupid ass reason.
Well, sort of.
After Dom cost him and cost him and cost him, they're still like cohabitating.
Sort of. I don't know if you saw it, but the Dominic's match with Penta on Raw, uh, Finn Balor was there and Carlito was there, but the X Factor, as it was JD McDonough came back and cost Penta the match. Mysterio retains his title in his first title defense, and Finn looked beside himself, like as if to say, "What the hell's going on? Why wasn't I told about this?" And I mean, he just looked bewildered with the whole thing.
But I mean, they're like Judgment Day is still.
Yeah, they're still going, but
It should have already imploded.
it should have, especially after Mania, and
The fact that
Dom
pinned
Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was expecting that to be the huge blow up that was going to happen, and it hasn't. So I feel like they're going to probably do the same thing with Solo and Jacob.
The thing that bothers me about Jacob right now is like he goes out there and a lot of the time he's getting cheered. And then like, he does the whole like bounce, bounce, bounce moonsault, bounce, 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 wee. And then everyone's like, one more time, one more time. He's a freaking heel. And he's getting cheered and shit. So you have him paired with Solo, who's a heel. They either need to turn them both face or split them.
I think they need to split them personally.
Well, but I mean, my point being, you have a heel getting cheers,
getting face cheered.
Like every now and then he'll get booed, but he gets cheered more often. They chant Fatu, they chant one more time.
Yeah.
So they need to deface him. No. De-heel him, sorry. I don't understand this. Well, we want to keep him as a heel. It's like you're having as much luck having him be a heel as you are having Stone Cold Steve Austin go out there and get boos when his music gets cheers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you would have an easier.
You don't even have. He doesn't even have to walk out of the curtain and people are cheering for him.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, you would have an easier time turning him face than keeping him as a heel and, keeping him aligned with Solo. I think Solo needs to be the heel.
I mean, hell, at this point, it's hard to boo Tama.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, the dude is just hilarious. And everybody's in on it now. All because of a internet thing that started. And everybody that when they... I don't know what it was, if it was like a con or something, but both Bailey and Rhea were like opening wrestling cards. And when they got Tama, they both went, yeah. And then in Randy's promo with Solo and Tama, he goes, I can't believe you have the balls. I'm talking to you too. Yeah, Tama. It's like everybody's in on it now. And it's just, how do you boo a guy when he capitalized on an internet, I guess, viral
moment?
It's not really a meme, but more like just a little video. and he took it and he like, hey, I'm gonna run with this. He made it even better,
Yeah.
but he's a heel. It's like I can't boo the guy because like he took the fan made CP or, CGI thing, and he's like, cool, I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
And then he does it, and it's hilarious.
It is. It's incredibly funny. I love it. But how do you keep that as a heel?
And I gotta give Solo credit. Like he's trying to stay heel when he's got these two dudes next to him who are basically faces without being faces, but it doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't.
And the guy, like, he could probably still be a good heel if he was by himself, because then he wouldn't have you know funny and being cheered next to him.
Yeah. I think Solo needs to be the heel. That's his main role.
I mean, that'd be like if you had a faction and it consisted of your main guy with let's see who's a super serious. Right. Oh, you had Rusev, right? And he's in a freaking heel stable with R-Truth in the Hurricane and Santino Marella. You're not going to be able to take him seriously as a heel when he's surrounded by the Goof Squad.
Yeah, yeah,
Which, by the way, I would love that stable because imagine, like, it was when like they had Vladimir Kozlov with Santino.
yeah.
Like, Kozlov,
Had no personality.
no, but then they put him like with Santino, and he's like, out there dancing and stuff, and it's like, okay, you can tell that the guy himself has personality, but he doesn't know how to put it into his character.
Right.
So being with a guy like Santino allowed him to, like be a little more himself. And a lot of times that's what makes a character better is when the person can add the character. That's why when Drew McIntyre came back and he had Drew McIntyre personality, it's like, oh damn,
Yeah.
where's this
He's
been?
fantastic.
Where's this been? But it's just Solo needs to be by himself if he's going to be a heel.
I agree. I agree.
Because he can't do it when you've got quote unquote faces that aren't faces.
I couldn't agree more. Which brings us to the big story of the week, which was Heyman and Rollins. They've recruited.
And they recruited up.
Yeah, they recruited big. They
No,
recruited.
different Braun.
Yeah, different Braun. Braun Breaker is
And
the new
remember,
Heyman guy.
Paul Heyman is the big man.
So yeah, Breaker is the new Heyman guy, and he is aligned with Seth Rollins. We thought he was gonna, he came out and speared the crap out of Roman. It looked like he was gonna go after Seth, and then instead speared CM Punk. And then Rollins put his arm around him and said, "That's my boy." And yeah, Breaker is now the Heyman guy. And then this week,
honestly, though, I think Braun Breaker's the best Heyman guy ever.
I'm going to agree.
If anybody didn't need Paul Heyman but could still, benefit, it's him.
Definitely. And then this week they gave Sami Zayn a quick out. Seth Rollins gave him an option. Hey, I know you're not with us, but
I'd like you to be with us.
I'd like you to be with us, but you have a decision to make. You can either run with us, or Heyman has gotten a deal for you on SmackDown for you to leave Raw and, let our vision come to pass. And if you go to SmackDown, you will be first in line for the world championship, for the Universal Championship on SmackDown without having to fight a single person.
And Sammy was like, hey, as a friend, I love you. As a competitor, you're full of shit.
And this is me
It
telling you,
basically, fuck no.
yeah, yeah. He told him absolutely not, and
That he
then
wasn't going to run.
yeah, that he wasn't going to run. It's never been in his character. He will, and the thing that got me, I love this. Before anything else happened, Zayn said, "I will become a world champion, and I will do it on my own terms."
Mhm.
I loved that.
The sheer confidence and just the outright, I'm not going to settle for letting, someone else lift me up. I'm going to lift myself up, and I'm going to show everybody that I deserve it and I belong.
Mm-hmm. Loved it. And then Braun Breaker came out and destroyed him. I mean, absolutely obliterated him. Speared him like, what, 3, 4 times?
Not only that, but it went outside the ring, and Seth was even involved.
Yeah, at the very end, Seth gave him a stomp after Breaker had speared him outside on the concrete, and yeah, it was nasty. And at the end of that, Seth Rollins ends standing tall with Breaker and Heyman. So, how are you feeling about this?
Somehow love it and hate it at the same time.
Explain.
I mean, I'm loving it because the the sheer character work in this is fantastic. Like Heyman's going out there looking proud of himself. No, you can't go wrong with Paul Heyman when it comes to acting. The guy deserves like a wrestling version of,
The Oscars.
yeah. But then you've got like Seth, who somehow can play the most face heel or the most heel face ever. And
As strange as that sounds, it makes perfect sense to me.
and it's just one of those things where I don't know how to classify. Just his character work is so incredible that he can make you like sympathize and be like, he's just trying to do good, and then he'll just like, well, man, I love you, yada yada yada. Fuck, kick your head in. It's like, okay.
And this is another one, like much like Jacob Fatu, even when he's heel, the crowd still sings his song. They still cheer for him.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, man.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the dude would just come out to the ring, stomp or stun somebody, and then leave. He didn't have to do anything, and he was cheered.
Yeah.
It's just some people have that, and that's the thing. He is an in betweener, and like I said, there's no real classification for an in betweener, but he plays like if there's a line between a face and a heel, like he picked that line up and he's twirling it around, his line between face and heel is a fucking lasso.
If that, I think I think the line between heel and face for him is like dental floss.
Like he's so fluid in his ability to, you know, make both work in one segment at the same exact time.
Mm-hmm.
So you have him with Paul Heyman, and then you add Braun Breaker in the mix, who's like the enforcer, but for once the enforcer isn't just muscle.
Oh, come on. Braun Breaker is huge muscle.
I said just muscle.
Yeah, he also has quite the gimmick. He has great chops as an actor. on the mic.
The dude just freaking hauls ass.
Yeah.
A dude can't run like that. I mean, he can, but he can't.
He shouldn't be able to, but he can.
It's like Ivar shouldn't be able to do frickin' the woohoos.
Cartwheels.
That
and the springboard stuff.
no, but he can. He can't, but he can. And it's like just that trio. It is just the amount of sheer talent that is present is insane.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think they need a third?
They already have three.
No, I mean a third wrestler.
Yes and no. I think that like Rollins and Breaker by themselves are fine. However, I feel like they need a third person because then, and it maybe not to start, but eventually, I feel like the third person is where you can start having that whole faction thing fall apart. Because Rollins can favor one over the other one starts getting disgruntled, starts something with Rollins, then the other one it's
that whole triangle.
The more people, the more, like with Judgment Day and the Bloodline, the more there are, the easier it is for there to be conflict.
Yeah.
Instead of just oh hey fall in line. And then eventually it's just like, I don't want to listen to you anymore. I mean, that's fine. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't need it in this aspect. But with it just being like Paul Heyman, for it to fall apart, I feel like there would have to be a greater conflict other than just, I'm done listening to you.
I could see that.
It's just for like I said, for the sheer amount of talent or like story that they have in this, that would just be such a letdown if the whole breakup of this eventual thing, the eventual breakup, is just I'm done listening to you. It's just so boring.
It can be. I think Braun and Seth could probably pull it off though, like because Braun is clearly bigger than Seth. Faster than Seth. Seth is more athletic. I mean,
and Seth has the veteran presence that Breaker does not.
Correct. So in this scenario, who do you see as the addition?
Oh my god. Honestly, in this, the person that I see as the addition is someone that I don't really want to do it because it's someone that I want to be separate. But I feel like the person that they could easily write this story with that has what they're kind of missing is Finn Balor.
I was just thinking the same exact thing.
I mean, the whole thing with Judgment Day's falling apart. They could easily woo him with the, hey, we're a world champion for a whole one day. We could help you change that.
And they could play off of the whole, hey, look, these guys are screwing you left and right. Dominic pins you for the Intercontinental Championship.
And he's basically laughing in your face.
Yeah.
He's flaunting it in front of you. And the thing that between Rollins and Breaker, the thing that is really missing is somebody that is more or less a high flyer. Like Rollins obviously does some high flying stuff, frog splashes and all that. But Finn does the coup de grace. Finn does this, he does the sling blade. He does the fast stuff.
Yeah.
That is not just running and spearing or running and clotheslining. He does the quick moves that at this point Rollins is starting to be able to not do as well.
Yeah, age is catching up to him, I think.
Well, he's
However,
taken a lot of bumps and gotten a lot of injuries.
yeah. However, I mean, even with that, he is still unbelievable in the ring. He still does stuff that I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome.
But I think like Finn Balor would be the small guy, quote unquote, that would kind of pull them together. You've got the brawn, ha,
The Braun, which is
the
Braun.
the brain, which is I guess a combination of Rollins and Heyman. Heyman, I just imagine him being the little devil whispering on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then you look on the other side, and there's no angel. It's just wings like floating down because it looks like the angel just got shot off your shoulder. And then you've got Finn, who's more or less the wild card.
Finn was the name on my mind for that also, unfortunately, because I too want to see him solo. I want to see him break from Judgment Day and get back to Demon Finn Balor from time to time, and do get back into the main event status, because I think he should have been there for a long time.
And I don't want him to join the Judgment Day, be in Judgment Day for buku buttfuck forever, and then leave that to go join another freaking faction. It's just, I don't want that. But if there were to be a third, I feel like he rounds the group out with the only. He is the part of Seth that Breaker isn't.
I think
Like,
that is a perfect way to describe it. That was absolutely brilliant. He is the part of Seth that Breaker isn't. Breaker is the power. He's the speed. Put them together, you got Seth.
yeah, and literally, like, Breaker has the speed, but he pretty much can only use it for
The
a
spear.
head-on attack. The spear or a clothesline. And Finn, he uses his speed to, like, Pele kick, sling blade, shotgun drop kick, coup de grace, stuff like that. He does uh, topes off the top rope, or
Yeah.
barrel tope. And Rollins does a suicide dive, and Breaker just rolls out of the ring, and it's like, I'm going to run onto the other side and can split you in half. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's my honest opinion on how I feel like if they added a third, it's the only way it would really make a roundabout group that would be not just another Judgment Day.
If I had to throw another name out, and I'm gonna hate hearing myself say this.
Please don't say Logan Paul.
I was gonna say Logan Paul.
Please don't say Logan Paul.
That's the only other name I can think that would fit the faction.
The only problem is Logan Paul wouldn't need them.
He wouldn't, but he does. I mean, yes, he's getting a title shot.
No, but what I'm saying is, like,
But
he's not being overshadowed like.
he's not. But what better way to staple yourself to WWE than to have the best surrounding you? You get Breaker, you get Seth, you get Paul, and that becomes a really dominant faction. I mean, Paul, you want the high flyer? He's the high flyer. I mean, that spot with him and
I
Ricochet.
don't. I
I don't
the,
want
the
him
the
there.
thing with Finn is Finn has that edge that I just don't see Logan Paul having. Like, Finn Balor can play a menacing, maniacal character, and Logan Paul is just not. I have not seen that capability from him yet of being the brutal heel.
I haven't
He's
either.
the conniver.
But here's the thing. That's what Heyman's for. Heyman's there to be the mouthpiece. Logan would be there
I but
to
I
do the dirty work.
yeah, but I don't see him like having that, being able to keep that face. He always has to be laughing and smiling like, haha, look at me, instead of just the straight-faced scowl, like looking like, how Shawn Michaels looked at Hulk Hogan after that, one more match,
Yeah,
and then he came back and sweet chin musicked him in the middle of the ring and just stared at him like, why'd you make me do that?
yeah. Michaels was great at that.
That is what I feel that they would need, and I don't feel like he has the character work needed. He has all of the talent, but Finn, if you want to talk about someone who's underrated, he tops the chart.
I agree. I totally 100%, 1000% agree. I'm just saying that Seth's whole thing about this new vision is the future of the industry.
Which he's not.
He's not, but Breaker is. Paul could be. As much as I hate hearing myself say that, he could be. He's that talented. So I'm just saying that
Oh,
maybe, well, I don't see Penta going that way.
I just had a very interesting thought.
Bring it.
The future of, the industry.
Hmm.
What if they went a very different route and didn't take from Raw?
Okay.
What if they took from NXT? Trick Williams.
So that's an interesting thought.
Because if you want the future of the industry, Trick Williams has everything that we needed without being just another breaker. The only two from NXT that I feel like would fit the bill would be the two guys in the main spot right now, which Trick Williams and Oba Femi. Oba Femi is basically a darker Braun Breaker without the intense freaking like 90-mile-an-hour spear.
Yeah,
So Trick Williams has the athletic speed or whatever. I don't think I don't think it would be as good.
I don't either.
But if we're going off the future, taking from NXT would be logical.
I agree. I agree. I think someone from NXT could come up.
I would also love to see a female join them, sort of like how Rhea joined Judgment Day.
Becky Lynch. She turned heel just after
She
WrestleMania.
always does this. She always comes back from an injury or a pregnancy or whatever. She's back for one match and she's a big face, and then she comes back on Raw and turns heel.
Yeah, that happened. So I could see her being the Heyman girl.
Problem is that's not future of the industry. That's just like, hey, my wife.
Yeah, but it's his wife.
Oh no, I get it. Rue.
Now, let me pitch this at you. What if, which I haven't heard anything about yet, but what if the draft happens?
Okay.
McIntyre gets drafted to Raw.
All right.
He joins Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins.
I don't see that happening. Too much ego.
But that could lead to that whole conflict thing that you were.
But like Drew McIntyre, he hated Punk, which could lead to him and Rollins being some sort of,
The friend of, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
yes. However, because of that, I feel like McIntyre would look at Rollins and be like, I'm not, hey, I agree with you. but I'm not working for you. I'm my own dude. I don't need you. And Rollins would not, in this character, would not be able to just sit and view him as an equal.
Well, the reason I brought all this up, anyways, is because the international wrestling community has a rumor out.
That Drew McIntyre, after the United States match is over, will be going after the World Heavyweight Championship from Jey Uso.
No.
Oh.
No.
That's the rumor I heard.
The rumor I am hearing is that, and this goes back to me bringing up if they needed a third wrestler in this stable. The rumor is that Rollins, Breakker, and this other person, whomever it ends up being, is going to be the cause of Roman Reigns bringing back the Shield with CM Punk. And rumor has it that Triple H has been in talks with Tony Khan for a deal somewhat like what they have with TNA, where they can cross over and bring in Mox.
Huh. Oh, man.
Which would be a complete turnabout from what Rollins did to Reigns, coming out in all the Shield attire at Mania and all that.
Dude, if AEW and WWE agreed to work together for anything, that would be monumentous.
Yeah.
It not just because it's like, like the whole TNA thing was like, oh man, that's great. But it was a very like mostly strict deal.
Yeah.
Where it's like, TNA and NXT crossover, and they both have relatively small rosters. AEW and WWE main roster do not.
No, they don't. But as strict as it was, we still saw Joe Hendry at Mania.
Yeah, like I said, it's a big deal, but
and at Rumble.
Well, again, the Rumble NXT can take part,
right?
So it makes sense the agreement with NXT, but that would just be like, since AEW is kind of like, viewing themselves as superior,
the rival.
Yeah. And TNA is just like, hey, we just want to do good. We just want to be entertaining. And WWE is like, you know what? We like that. I think that we can make something work.
Now, granted, I don't put much stock into the international wrestling community.
For all of you in the international wrestling community, sorry for him, but also not sorry.
Yeah, there's just so many things.
Internet.
There's so many things that I do not agree with the IWC, and I just can't. I can't bring myself to put full faith in anything that they say. But
I just don't like. I read stuff on the internet, and I'm like, all right, I'll watch, see if that ends up being right. But I don't believe a lot of it.
Yeah.
I just like, hey, we'll see.
But I do think that'd be monumental. And I think that I could see them trying to make that happen. I could see Triple H wanting that to happen, because
I can see him wanting to do whatever was the most entertaining.
Yeah, and that complete 180 on Rollins with the Shield, that would be cinema.
And well, just the sheer head games of bringing back Mox and being like, hey, you know how we we regrouped and then I turned on you, and then like, I'm like, hey, let's have one last reunion and all that. Fuck
that. So yeah, that's why I brought the whole stable idea up. So
well, I liked it. It was a good. I actually thought it was a good conversation.
Oh,
that little itty bitty group by itself was probably like a 20-minute conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm enthralled with the idea of it. Like I'm super excited to see where it goes. I cannot wait for, Monday Night Raw every single week because I want to see where this goes. Now, the draft, I I seem to remember it happening shortly after WrestleMania usually because that's the shake up after Mania. But I have yet to hear a single word
See,
about
I
it.
thought the draft was more in the fall, and the superstar shakeup was after WrestleMania. And it's just like, hey, we're just going to have like these people move.
No, that sparked from the draft. Like that originally the draft came after Mania to shake things up after Mania because everybody always
Maybe it'll
viewed
be after Backlash.
everybody always viewed Mania as the end of the storylines and the beginning of the new ones.
That's why I never understood like the whole Jade and Naomi thing. That Naomi's now like, I want the title, and I'm gonna step on everybody. It's like, okay, so we sort of, but not quite ended things.
Yeah, we didn't because this week it was the main event of SmackDown was my biggest gripe with SmackDown because it was Naomi and Nia Jax against Jade Cargill and Tiffy, and I couldn't get into it, man. The whole show all the way through, really good, and then we come to that as the main event, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me? This is how we're gonna end the show?"
Like, I'm all for giving women main events when the women, are able to put on a good show. But if Nia Jax is in it, I'm sorry, it's not going to work.
I mean, I know she's a great. I've heard she's a great person and probably the nicest in the locker room. But I can't get into watching her wrestle. I just can't. Like it's boring to me to watch. She doesn't have a move set that is exciting.
Like, for example, at WrestleMania, uh, Io, Rhea,
Mm-hmm. Belair.
Belair, that would have been a good main event match.
Oh yeah,
That was deserving of main event status.
absolutely.
Just, just throwing a woman in the main event, saying like, hey, like you deserve main events as women. Like, all right, I'm all for that. But if the match is going to be subpar, that is not the way to end the show.
No, no.
And some people just can't. That'd be like putting, in my opinion, Bronson Reed in the main event match, just because it's like, well, tsunami. Like, okay, you end the show with him giving like 5 tsunamis, but the match before it kind of sucked. Like,
Yeah,
the ending was great. You could have just had him come in and attack somebody.
yeah. I can't get behind Bronson Reed as a wrestler either. His finisher great, but watching an entire match of his,
Yeah.
it lags so bad.
Because the problem is the dude doesn't have. He's such a big guy without the athleticism of like Ivar or Keith Lee. It's hard for him to do many moves.
Right.
It's just sometimes it's the only other like really big things like getting away from you know all that is we did have the returns of Rusev and Aleister Black on Raw and SmackDown respectively at the expense of like what 14 people that just got cut.
Yeah. And I was shocked by Braun Strowman being cut. They just put him into a story with Fatu, and I thought that was going to go somewhere. And to see that he got cut was kind of like, oh, well, I got vested in that, and
I
I want
think
to
it's
have it.
because he kept getting hurt.
That could very well be. I mean, he
They
was
they
hurt a lot.
probably viewed him as a liability because it's like he'd be back for like 3 or 4 weeks and be hurt again. Now he's not the only one, but when you're investing all that into somebody and trying to wrap things around them, and they just get hurt 4 or 5 times in a year, and they're out for 4 or 5 months out of a year each time. I mean, that's like -6 months.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Don't agree with my Steiner math.
In addition,
I had
Shayna
a
Baszler,
66.9% chance of winning.
which ends up actually being about 129.35%.
The one that bugged me the most was Gigi Dolan.
Yeah, Gigi Dolan. They put a whole lot of stock into her for the last version of WWE 2K. She was a big, major part of the storyline.
See, for me, it was just, well, I mean, for one, I'm just, getting the biases out there. She's fucking sexy as hell.
She is not bad looking.
But I really liked the whole Fatal Attraction thing, which again, Shotzi, they didn't release her, but they let her contract expire.
Yeah, did not renew her contract.
So I don't really consider her being cut as much as just letting that expire.
Yeah.
But I thought that they were doing a really good job. And it's like, why you had Tatum Paxley, Gigi Dolan, and Shotzi. They had the gothy punk thing going, and I don't understand. Like, it seemed to be a really good thing. Why didn't you have them go after the women's tag team more than just that one time? Like, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't have any explanations. It was kind of one of those things that it was like, really?
yeah, I was disappointed in Caden and Katana.
I was disappointed in that too. I remember remarking on our podcast not long ago that we had, or at least on one of the videos that I posted on TikTok for our Geek Zone channel, that I was really, really excited to have seen them on SmackDown because one of them is Casey Catanzaro, which was a huge name on American Ninja Warrior.
Um, I didn't.
Shayna Baszler
Yeah,
was
I
cut.
see. I didn't care about Shayna as much because she only really showed off her personality on like house shows or like on Instagram or whatever. They wouldn't let her really be herself out on TV. And when she's herself, I think she seems like a lot of fun. But
On the show, she was very, very bland.
yeah, and like I said earlier, and probably on like every single podcast we've done, when people get to invest some of themselves into their character and they can like let some of their own personality out, I that's when I think the characters are the best.
Absolutely.
Because the people are having fun doing what they're doing instead of trying hard to be something that is literally no part of them and they don't really find fun.
Agreed. Agreed. And also let go was some of the Evolve talent, the new WWE Evolve, which I'll be honest, I've watched the entirety of it so far, and I'm invested. I'm enthralled. I really like it.
You're looking forward to watching it evolve?
I really am. But they let go of Ora Mesa,
Gallus,
Gallus, Javier Bernadal or Bernali,
uh, Eddie Thorpe.
Eddie Thorpe. It's kind of strange to me that they're cutting people from a show that they literally just revamped and restarted.
Oh, we were just talking about the people. I thought we were talking about who was cut. I don't know who all was in Evolve.
Well, I mean, the names that I just put out there, Gallus and Javier Bernal, uh,
Oro Mensa
Oro
was another one.
Mensa. I mean, those guys were on
I
Evolve.
was pretty disappointed about Oro Mensa. I thought he was, at least aesthetically, was far different from anything we'd seen before.
Very,
He was
very,
he was
very different.
kind of like a he dressed like a skier kind of dude, but like not like I don't really know how to define how he looked, but he had a very unique style.
No, he absolutely did. But I mean, the weird thing to me is that you restart this show. It has a fairly small roster to begin with, and here they've cut like 7 people from it. It's really odd to me for something like that small to suffer that big a cut.
Yeah, unless they're planning on moving other people into it, I have no idea. If you're going to cut people, I think you should cut people from that. Um, what's the show called? LFG for like
LFG.
yeah, large fucking gamble. Um, cut those pieces of shit. Like, who needs a reality show?
Well, and Evolve is the WWE ID people, the people from the independents and
Yeah,
from other sports that have gotten ID'd as possible, potentially future stars.
and they cut all of the the current NXT stars.
Yeah, they cut a bunch.
Um, but yeah, I just I know that they make the cuts now because of the whole TKO not having the same, like if it was only Triple H, I would say you probably wouldn't have seen like half of those get cut. I think like Shayna Baszler and Gigi Dolan probably wouldn't have gotten cut. Braun Strowman probably wouldn't have gotten cut. Because those were ones that Triple H seemed to,
Have plans for.
or at least believe in. Like he brought Strowman back. I don't know why he would have done that if he didn't believe in him.
Yeah.
Um, but TKO has made it very clear that hey, you need to make cuts, and I'm sure that there were in fact reasons for the people chosen. Gigi Dolan because they hate me.
I'm quite certain TKO has no clue who you are.
Then they just stomped on my heart by accident. Nah. I mean, I'm not heartbroken really over anybody getting cut,
I'm not
but there
heartbroken.
there are people that I really felt like they could have used,
Yeah.
and that there were other people that are still there that I feel like
Would have been
what
a better.
what are you doing? Like as much as I hate to say it, but what are you really doing with Joaquin Wild and Cruz del Toro right now? Those dudes are super talented, and you're not utilizing them. So why are you like cutting people that you were seemingly using? That I don't want him to cut Joaquin Wild or Cruz del Toro. Those dudes are freaking fantastic to watch.
They are.
But I mean, the point was, basically when they're there, they stand it. Like, oh yeah, I'm watching Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee.
Yeah, they have
Look at
not
me,
done much.
woo!
Oh, and now we're watching Ray Phoenix.
Yeah. Um. But again, I don't want them cut. But it's just the point of they're on TV, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me.
That they would
You've
cut
got
people who were doing
you've
stuff.
got Alba Fire and Piper Niven basically as Chelsea Green's, Secret Service.
Purvis.
Yeah, whatever. But I mean, like
Alba Fire
They're
hasn't
being
done much.
underutilized.
Alba Fire hasn't been used much. Piper Niven fought this week against Zelina Vega.
Well, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like the stories are slow.
Yeah.
And you know, you could be doing more with them. And if you're not going to utilize them, then I don't know.
I get it. Which brings us to our Fix the Gimmick segment.
We skipped it for the WrestleMania shows or podcasts
because that was just strictly for Mania.
Yeah, well, and WrestleMania the WrestleMania shows were so huge that
there was a lot to cover.
Yeah, it seemed like that was kind of over a full episode by itself.
Yeah, definitely.
And
so we thought this week we'd bring it back to you. So here it is, our Fix the Gimmick, brought to you by
us.
Absolutely no one, because we aren't sponsored.
And I brought up the first one. I suggested Max Moon because I thought it was literally the most obvious in history.
Oh yeah, that was a slam dunk.
But since I picked the last one, why don't you pick a gimmick this time? Do you have one that you've been sitting on, or?
Oh, absolutely. I've been sitting on this since this whole segment idea was pitched to me.
Oh, well, okay then. We don't have to give you any time to think about it.
No, I don't need any time. Glacier.
Oh, what are you going WCW?
Yeah, Glacier. Glacier was a gimmick that was very Sub-Zero-esque.
Oh, the entrance was awesome.
Yeah, the entrance was fantastic.
And then he got into the ring,
and it was not fantastic.
Sub-Zero was a good gimmick because that's what his talent was.
Yeah, so Glacier for me was one of the most disappointing characters because I loved the gimmick. I loved the entrance. I loved everything about it except for the dude in the outfit. He was not good in the ring. He was not good on the mic.
And it won't help on the mic, but I always imagine that if you put Lance Storm in that costume, at least it would be you would be watching a Mortal Kombat game that someone was playing.
Yeah.
Where, there's no talking, but just, the kicking, the striking. I imagine him being like the physical Sub-Zero character from the game. But in wrestling, you need somebody who can actually talk.
Yeah, especially
unless
he has a manager, a mouthpiece.
So what we need is a Raiden, or Shang Tsung.
So
Mr. Fuji.
How do we fix this gimmick?
Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji.
Finding somebody, like, especially if you want to look all the way back then, to find somebody who was good on the mic and had the skills to pull off that kind of gimmick. I don't think WCW had one.
I venture to say that the in-ring would have been far more entertaining had it been someone like a Billy Kidman or someone like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was even thinking Dean Malenko, but
no.
I mean, he wouldn't be my first choice by any stretch of the imagination, but at least he had technical skills.
He had technical skills, but even in the Mortal Kombat games, you had Sub-Zero doing those forward flips and backward flips.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what struck my mind with Billy Kidman. Now, his mic skills were not...
Problem is, like, Sub-Zero's finish the shooting star press would not be a good finish for a Sub-Zero character.
No, it wouldn't. And that would have been something that he would have had to have changed.
I have the perfect finisher. Uppercut.
So that would give us a boxer type of fighter.
but again, like
A brawler.
I could think of some people not from that era,
Okay, let's go with that.
but I mean, when you look into nowadays, if you've got a Sub-Zero type character, if you would probably assume that you would want them to fit the look, but I really feel like you've got a lot of guys with the physical talent. But I'm gonna have to go back to the same guy for the Braun Breaker Rollins thing and Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
Like, I feel like he can fit the look. He, has an accent, but the
He
guy
has a
can.
solid move set that would have been exciting. He has the chops on the mic. I'm gonna agree with you. Finn Balor would be fantastic as a Glacier character. If we were to have fixed that character, I think he's a really really good fit. I really do.
Yeah, and again, there are a lot of guys that I feel like are good, but he's just you put that mask on him, and I feel like he covers. He's got the look. I can imagine the suit on him.
Well, I mean, he's not Japanese. Oh, Tozawa.
Oh my God, Tozawa could. Tozawa could.
I know. It just popped into my head when I was.
The problem is, again, he doesn't have the best mic skills, but he is hilarious. Although
right?
that could actually be a hindrance.
It could be because Sub-Zero is not a funny character per se.
Technically, none of them in the Mortal Kombat games are funny per
Case
se.
in point.
It Johnny Cage would be the funniest, and I mean, Miz. But there's no arguing it. It's Miz.
What about the Miz as Sub-Zero?
Too smart ass.
But
he's too Johnny Cage. I can't see him as
he is Johnny Cage, but as a Sub-Zero character, he would have the charisma and the mic skills and the in-ring skills to make that character come to life. And actually, I think he's a good enough actor to make it happen.
It's fair.
I don't think you change the gimmick. I don't think you change the outfit, the entrance, or anything else about
no,
it.
I was
change the person in the costume.
So he's suicide.
Yeah. Like I would even venture as far as to say, not with the look, but to make someone that I think that could make that character work, Seth Rollins. I mean, everything he does turns to gold. He's got a great move set. He's got a great personality.
The funny thing is with Seth Rollins, I picture him more as Smoke.
Oh, 100%, 1,000%, yes. But I could see him making.
I know we said it's Geek Zone Wrestling, but we're also,
just geeks.
This is the geek part.
But I mean, I think if he were to have been given the Glacier character, he could have made it work.
Yeah.
So with this one, I don't think it was anything about the gimmick. I think it was all about the person that got the gimmick.
Yeah.
And
he sucked.
I don't think the person that got the gimmick deserved it. I don't think he.
Like I said, Lance Storm, Mr. No Personality, could have made it work if he had a manager. He had the ability to do. Now, he couldn't do all the flippity dips, but I mean, he was a flexible dude. He could do a hell of a super kick.
Yeah.
Like he did stuff like he was a good fighter. He couldn't do the, flash, like the flashy word for all the moves.
High flying.
No, like the actual
The Lucha Libre, the
No, like what you call like the whole like not the style, but like he doesn't have the flashy moveset.
oh,
Why couldn't I think of moveset?
I don't know.
I had
Probably because you're not that
I
smart.
had moves. I was only missing an extraterrestrial. I was missing ET. That was it.
Yeah, move
Little
set.
little bastard flew him away on the bike. Yeah. Anyway, like if you had a guy in there that was talented enough to make the fighting aspect of the character work, and gave him a manager, that could even pass. But this dude didn't have any of it.
That's it. That's it. We need Glacier.
Mr. Fuji.
No, we need Glacier back. So we need a new Glacier outfit and gimmick, and he needs to be the next Paul Heyman guy.
Oh my god. This is going to be terrible. I know that. Have you played any of the recent Mortal Kombat games?
11.
You know the character Farron Thor?
I do.
Paul Heyman's Pharaoh.
You're not wrong.
I'm just saying.
So I would say that we have fixed this gimmick.
I think we fixed the gimmick more than just fixed it. I think we fixed it a bunch. We fixed it a bunch of different ways. If you wanted to bring back Glacier, you could bring back 10 Glaciers, and it would be all right because we fixed it for you.
Yeah, we gave you the blueprint. We gave you the map. How to get there. How to make it
you
work.
even included his color. I like it.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. Did we fix the gimmick, or do you have a better idea?
And if you do have a better idea, we would love to actually hear it because, like, I mean, that's probably going to sound awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because we come up with ideas doesn't mean we're not open to yours.
So yeah, let us know in the comments. And any final thoughts?
Well, I just now I'm kind of wanting just to have like an entire Mortal Kombat roster in WWE, played by a bunch of different dudes.
Triple H, make it happen.
Like, there are some dudes in there that you could put to characters. I'm getting kind of excited about it, honestly. Dominic would be Reptile because he's a snake.
So thank y'all for joining us. We'll be back again next week, and we'll have some more Fix the Gimmick and our next topic.
John Cena would be Striker.
Yes, he would.
The Rock would be Trimmer.
Take care, y'all.